Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Washington Beat segment tonight. Did President Obama and Secretary of State John Kerry even try to get Sergeant Andrew Tahmooressi released from a Mexican prison? Last week I spoke with the sergeant's mother. John Kerry, have you spoken to him, Secretary of State?
Never. I know that he raised the issue, which I believe, Andrew, is a very much a grave concern and not an issue. He raised the issue May 21st.
I think
have
Mr.
not
Kerry,
heard from the executive level,
all right.
no.
He should have given you a call, that's for sure. All right, joining us from Washington, Ace Reporters call Cameron and James Rosen. All right, Rosen, Kerry first. Has he done anything?
Look, first, we want to begin, obviously, by saying that we feel for the Tahmooressi family and the sergeant himself. It may be the case that there's a misconception about the mission of the Department of State in a case like this, and I'll come back to that, Bill, after I answer your question directly. Secretary Kerry has personally raised Sergeant Tahmooressi case with his counterpart, the Mexican foreign minister, and one of the results of that has been that the Mexican government has afforded the Tahmooressi family and the United States government excellent, what they call consular access to the prisoner in this case. We're talking about 22 face-to-face visits with him and attendance by our diplomats at every one of Sergeant Tahmooressi legal hearings. Now, of course, it is the mission of the Department of State to work for the protection of all U.S. citizens abroad. However, when one of them is accused of a crime or being investigated on criminal charges in a foreign country with whom we are allied, the mission of our government in such cases, as counterintuitive as this may seem, is not necessarily to get him or her back at all costs, but rather to ensure that the ensuing proceedings are conducted fairly and expeditiously.
All right, but we have a different wrinkle here with the post-traumatic stress disorder, and that puts it into humanitarian and humane grounds. So that's the difference than a straight crime, which I think everybody understands. But I just want to be clear. So you're saying that Kerry did his job. He raised it with the Mexican foreign minister. Conditions for the sergeant did improve and access improved. But the thing that Kerry should have done was call the sergeant's mom and just say, look, we're doing everything we can. That means a lot.
Yeah, and I put that question to Secretary Kerry's aides this afternoon. Why hasn't he picked up the phone and made a 5-minute phone call to the Tahmooressi family? And I was told, in essence, that the State Department at lower levels is keeping the family, as well as Congress, well up to date. But I just want to make this point clear, Bill. The U.S. government and all the rest of its citizens have equities in these kinds of cases as well. If a Mexican national were accused of committing a crime on our soil, would the American people, and particularly the alleged victims of such a crime, want the U.S. government simply to send that foreign national back home immediately without any process unfolding?
It depends what the beef is. If it's a low-level beef like this, and it's a Mexican patriot who served his country in his post-traumatic stress, I would say most Americans say, kick him back.
Well, let me say one final thing. Without elaborating further, we need to be attuned to the possibility of additional facts emerging in this case, which are presently being investigated by the Mexican authorities, and which may help to explain why this case is enduring as long as it is.
If it comes out that Tahmooressi was doing something else, then absolutely changes the story.